We had Nick Pitara on a few months ago. He told us about this thing. Like, we can create a new network with newsletters. So whenever you got a new project, like all of your friends with newsletter will send their newsletter, sponsoring the project, the thing that you got going on now.
It's like La Cosa Nostra,
Yeah, it's all in the family. And then when we'll be strong enough as a group, we'll start doing the opposite thing, which is boycott other people.
Destroying lives.
Exactly.
Destroying other people's lives.
Yeah.
This is the Inkpulp podcast.
So Ramon, why don't you like Asian people? You were saying like 10 seconds ago. Just explain to me. Sorry.
That's the second time you've done that. Was Ramon the victim the last time? Who did you do that to?
It wasn't me.
No, but I remember before having Ramon on the episode before, I made the joke that, okay, next time we're going to be having Ramon. He doesn't like Asian people. I don't know why.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the countdown, I was like, I'm going to make another
there you
racist
go.
joke. And,
I've been watching Hannibal of lately, so I had a nice little response worked up, but you broke character.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Inkpulp podcast. 4 identical twins are on your screen right now. We've got my brother, my co-host, Mattteo, the dumb shark Scalera.
The handsomest of the 4 brothers.
That's true.
Wow,
I don't know,
you look
man.
very groomed today. Your
No.
beard's looking really nice there.
It's not that you're not handsome, Mattteo. It's just we're 4 handsome
You're
men.
ugly. The 3 of you are ugly. It's not that I'm handsome. I'm slightly, like I'm a 6. I'm a 5 and a half, but you
we're
guys
just a
are
bunch of 2s. We're a bunch of 2s.
He's got the least gray in there.
That's true. That's true.
We've also got my other brother and other co-host, Jim Mafood, in the house.
What the hell is going on, guys? It's good to be here. It's good to be here.
And another brother from Canada,
Northern
Ramon
hinterlands.
Perez.
Hello.
Ramon,
¿Qué pasa?
mi amor, te quiero.
Oh, no. Oh, multilingual here.
Wow.
This is
It's
exciting.
really
morning.
early.
Come on.
It's real early for all this.
That'll wake you up.
By the way, guys, Jim and Shawn, I never complimented you for the fucking amazing reels you put out every
my
time
God.
for every new live drawing session that you do.
Thank you.
Oh man,
Those are phenomenal.
those crack me up, man.
Thank you.
All right, good. That's good.
We're trying. We're
Yeah.
If comics
Mattteo,
doesn't work out, I'm just going to straight up go into like improv comedy or something. It's so embarrassing or so terrible. Like you get to force all your friends. Like when I lived in LA, I had a couple friends that were like, I'm trying to do comedy. Will you come to my improv show? And you feel obligated. You go. And most of the time it's terrible. It's not funny.
No.
But you're there and you're like, hey, it was great. Good luck. And it's like,
But Jim, you will be one of those new wave comedians that only do shit on Instagram, just on social media.
Right,
You'll never perform live, which is the kind of comedians that every comedians now aid, like the traditional comedians. They aid that kind of new comedian, all the social media.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, you
understand
gotta you gotta have the balls to get in front of an audience.
I mean, that's the craft.
Watching someone bomb up there is so hard. I've been to a few where you're just like, just walk off.
Oh yeah.
That's brutal.
Oh yeah, man.
I guess I'm lucky. I've pretty much, when it comes to live comedy, I've always gotten tickets to go see murderers, and they've murdered every time.
Oh yeah, live show.
Even though there were a couple openers, I guess a couple openers here and there that were just like not total duds.
I saw Jeff Dye not too long ago. And,
Who'd you see?
Jeff Dye. He's up from LA. No, look him up. He's great. He does a lot of the IG stuff, but he does like live comedy as well.
Oh, cool.
Oh, awesome. Well, there's a new guy that I recently discovered. His name is Ari Matti. Is
Oh, yeah. I know.
Lithuanian or so. It's from Eastern Europe.
Oh, okay.
The guy's fucking amazing. Like if he was on Rogan lately, and he's amazing. And it got discovered basically on Kill Tony, the show where they perform live for only 1 minute, and he's just my god, it's so good.
That's the shit.
That's awesome. Have to look him up.
Also, we're gonna be watching a stand-up show in New York.
That's the plan. I have a call. I have a call with Bobby today or tomorrow to go over it. So Ramon, and I'll tell the audience out here. I know Bobby Kelly, comedian. He played Louie's brother on the show Louie.
Oh, okay.
And I've been on his podcast, but he works out at the Comedy Cellar, which I know Matteo's a huge fan of stand-up, and Cellar's like the place. Like every great comedian comes out of there in New York. So I thought for Matteo's birthday, we could all go to the Cellar. And I was like, let me see if Bobby will be performing. And so I reached out, and he said he wasn't scheduled, but he was going to try to get on the schedule. So I was just like, well, it'd just be nice to see you, say hi, and introduce you to a bunch of comic nerds, because he likes comic art too. So that fingers crossed that one works out. We'll go to the Cellar either way, but yeah, it'll be fun. And then I'm going to reach out to
a guest on his podcast like a few years
ago. I was
ago.
on twice. I was on Bobby's podcast twice, and Mattteo
everybody was making fun of your voice, and that was amazing.
Yes, that was. So I think you guys are aware of this. Matteo does an impression of me. Matteo, you want to do your impression?
What are you talking about? This voice? The funny thing is that on the podcast they were slightly annoyed by your voice. Like I made light of it, and it's funny. They were annoyed with your voice. At a certain point, I think either Bobby or somebody else was like, that fucking voice.
It was the first thing Bobby said, because I was dying. We got together, and I sit down, and they hit go, and the first words out of my mouth, Bobby goes, "Ugh, your voice is terrible." And all I could picture was Mattteo losing it, so I started laughing.
Oh shit!
Oh fuck!
What a way to start a show! Like you're getting shit on right away.
Well, it's a comedian's podcast. You got to go in there expecting to
thick skin
for that. Yeah. It was funny. It was. We had a great time, and it was hilarious.
But Shawn, are we still going even if Bob is?
Yeah,
not?
we'll still go to the Comedy Cellar. There's no reason not to. I'm just hoping we can either see Bobby or meet up with Bobby that night. That would be awesome for your birthdays. That would be great. So we'll see. He wants me to reach out to him. I have it on my calendar, so either today or tomorrow to see what's up.
Cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
So we will see. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Kickstarter, which has been a very common theme on the podcast and a very common theme amongst creators talking. And right now we've got Jim. You're in the middle of a Kickstarter. Your first create our own Kickstarter, right?
Yeah. Today's the 1 week anniversary actually of launch.
Wow, congratulations.
All right.
So,
and Ramon, you're about to launch a new Kickstarter, but you do several Kickstarters.
Yeah, we're launching one actually today for our anthology series.
That's today. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And that's I did a cover for one of those.
Yeah, number 2. Number 5.
5. Yeah.
Damn, nice.
So it would be great. Just sorry to interrupt, just for a second.
No, go ahead.
Let's make sure with Jamie also to have this episode coming out on time, like maybe next week.
Okay, I'll see what I can do with the schedule
in between episodes. So we'll make sure that both campaign are still active, so people can go.
That's a good idea.
And pledge.
I'll do that today. I'll get this all figured out. Nice. So maybe this can come out next Monday, or definitely by the Monday after. So campaigns will still be kicking. So let's also get the links in here. Actually, Jim, take a second and tell us about your campaign. What's going on, and what should people be doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, people can find me at the link below. Defective Comics presents Savage Street Vigilante, my crazy superhero parody, horror, comedy, action, fusion, creator-owned 48-page one-shot of glorious destruction. Greatest one-shot comic, I'm calling it, of the last year or 5 years, maybe.
I'll say 10.
And we go till October 31st. People can order the book. There's a PDF. There's a 5-piece print set. There's variant covers from Mike Huddleston, Jim Rugg, and Scotty Young. There's original art tiers. And there's also add-ons of some of my older publications. Tank Girl Sketchbook, Girl Scout stuff. So we have a fully loaded page at this point, a fully loaded campaign. I'm just trying to keep it going as hard as I can until the 31st.
So I remember when you were doing before you started your last Girl Scouts, the Stone Ghost book, I was saying to you, I was like, what about Kickstarter? And you stuck with Image on that one. So what made you shift to Kickstarter? Is it with this one?
This one just seemed like the perfect property to do through Kickstarter, just because there's a lot of like superhero parody comics on Kickstarter. And this was just me, being myself, having fun and making a one-shot, one-off thing that I think. My other Kickstarter thing I did was my pop-up book, and that was just a one-off type book, and that did really well. That was in 2020. So for me, and also I feel like with Image and stuff, like having Girl Scouts stay on their label for branding reasons, like that's a smart idea. Like Girl Scouts is at Image. My other stuff moving forward, my goal is to kind of hopefully continue with this crowdfunding formula where I'm not giving money to a publisher or distributor. I have my own brand. I'm a brand, and I'm just selling directly to my fan base. That I think is the future of creator-owned comics and of individual stylized artists like myself. Like if you have a more mainstream style and you want to draw X-Men for Marvel, that's one path as a comic artist. But if you're a weirdo individual stylist like myself, Marvel and DC are not going to hire me. Really, at this point. I mean, maybe for a cover here and there, or
for a very special project, but
it
needs to have a specific look.
Yeah, but for me, it's kind of like I'm just kind of trying to pursue this whole new thing of like I'm just going to do my own shit and put it out there.
Yeah,
funny. I was imagining. As I was talking, I was imagining what if like next year they asked Jim to be the main artist on the main Batman title or the main Spider-Man.
It'd be amazing.
Never say never.
Absolutely. But I would love to. I was laughing within myself thinking about the comments of specific people or specific fans of the character.
God, I know.
The shock when they opened their favorite book.
Yeah. It's funny, man, because I was in the mid 90s when I was still in art school. I started buying the monthly Batman comic book when Kelly Jones became the monthly artist and John Beatty was inking him, and it was gorgeous and super bugged out. But
stuff.
Reading the letters page in each issue, it was always divided in half of people being like, this is the most innovative, stylish, gorgeous, beautiful monthly Batman book ever, to Batman fanboys being like, this art is ugly, terrible, horrible. I don't understand it at all. This is garbage. And it's like, dude, it's Kelly Jones. But it's with Kelly, it's you either dig it or you don't. You either like it or you don't.
Right.
It was very polarizing. It was very.
And back then, people had to write a letter and mail it into the office to get it
so
seen.
they really believe what they're saying.
You're angrily licking a stamp.
But Mattteo, I was going to say also, like this last year when I did a variant cover for Spider-Punk, the Spider-Punk series at Marvel, I hit up the editors and I was like, if you ever want me to draw a Spider-Punk one shot or a mini series, like I feel like that would vibe with my style. Like you guys should hire me. And the editors were cool and they were like, oh yeah, maybe, I don't know. And I'm like, that's a no. It's not going to happen. Same thing with Ninja Turtles. I just did a Ninja Turtles cover, and then editors at IDW were really cool on Turtles. And the same thing, I'm like, if you guys ever want me to do interiors or a black, white, and green story for the anthology, and they're like, yeah, we're full up right now, but like maybe. But again, to me, it's like, that's probably a no. So I feel like I'm personally running out of options with what I can do with my work in the comic book industry. But in the art form of comic books, the sky's the limit, and I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And
I
as
feel the
bugged
same
out as I want.
Yeah, I feel
like,
very much like you, Jim. I feel like I'm in the same space. What were you going to say, Ramon?
No, I was going to say, I think, Jim, like, I love your stuff, and I think, but editors probably think you're too chaotic, you're too random, like they don't know what they're going to get. And they're going to be like, nah, just one cover's fine. Like, I remember at one point, it was just like, I actually got told by Marvel, they were like, you're too inconsistent with your style that we can't hire you. Like,
really?
So, yeah. They actually let me go out of my exclusive early because they were like, we don't know where to put you because your style changes depending on. So I can
your
see
style changes depending on the story, as a good cartoonist should
that's what
do.
I do. But, you know, so it goes to like, they like consistency. They like, you know, we know what we're going to get. It's not random. So, yeah,
that's
I think
true.
you're doing the smart thing.
That's true. Yeah. And also with licensed stuff, Mattteo, you know this, like doing my Turtles cover, it was fun, but the amount of revisions little tweaks I had to go through with it.
Dude, I know what you're talking about.
It's like,
And to be honest with you, it wasn't so much revisions for me, but I'm so not used to it that even 2 notes is already too much for me right now. I know I'm sounding arrogant right now, but I'm not used to that. Like I'm used
Matteo's
to
like, I don't make changes for anybody. Don't you know this?
well, in a way, you shouldn't make changes because you're still badass. Like you're set in what you do. Like,
but I mean, if I have to be serious and think about it, they make sense. They're not just, doing it just to do it. There's a reason why they're doing it. So, but instinctively inside, my first reaction is like, the fuck you want? Like, just take whatever I do without context, right? Then, I calm down and I think about it and I'm like, yeah, of course they need, this specific thing to be this way because, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I'm giving you people gold. Just shut up and take it. Like, what else do you want?
Look, instinctually, that's what my gut says. And then I'm like, okay, I got to stop for a second. And I'm like, all right,
it's the golden shark.
But we grew up in an era where when an artist took on a book, it was exciting to see their take.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the things I loved about comics was seeing how different artists would do Spider-Man or different artists would draw the Hulk and all this. But that was before these properties were corporate properties. Now the corporate properties, consistency becomes a much bigger thing, and so they got to keep an eye on that shit.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I loved Batman, but I never collected the main series. I always collected the Elseworlds because it gave me a really cool, different. Whether it was Mignola, Kelly, I'm blanking on who else was there, but it was like that was far more interesting than the monthly series to me.
Oh, that Legends of the Dark Knight anthology book.
That was a good one too. Good. Yeah,
that was good.
There's like Dave McKean doing Arkham Asylum, or like just those one shot, one off,
where they're
type
playing
things where the
worlds,
artist is able to do what the artist wants to do. Like that's the point.
Yeah,
that was good stuff. All right, so Ramon, talk to us about your Kickstarter campaign now.
Sure,
what's about to launch and why 2 at once?
We're launching the Raid Anthology. It's a an anthology series we've been doing every year since 2017. We took a couple of years off for the pandemic. The anthology started off as kind of like a portfolio of the studio at the time. So it was like, at the time, it was like Marcus Toe, myself, Scott Hepburn, Francis Manipal, all these like great names, Tonchi Zonjic. And so we were like, hey, let's do an anthology. But it kept going. And now with the current set of 4, 5, and 6, we've expanded to like this, especially the last 2, international array of different artists doing just short stories in any genre. We just give people carte blanche. We just say we need even count of pages. Have fun with it. And so we're launching 5 and 6 today. And because we missed last year. Last year was a bit of a crazy year. The issue 5 got bumped. So we're like, you know what? Let's put them both out together. We have over 50 creators. on 35 stories. We got legends like Bart Sears from
Oh shit.
yeah,
Jeez.
like from the 90s and early 2000s. We have like people you've never heard of whose work is phenomenal. And that's part of the joys of doing this series, is that we get like these established pros, but we also balance it off with just new kids on the block kind of thing from all over the world. So we got some like recent graduates from a sequential art school in Denmark. We've got people
nice.
that I met while we were in Dubai. So all kinds of just great creators. And and they're launching today. We got a great cover by you, Shawn, on number 5. We got Mike Del Mundo on number 6. We're going big today, so we'll see what happens here. We're kind of nervous. We've never done a 2-book deal like this. A lot is riding on it, but we're super excited with the content we have. So hopefully people fall in love with it too.
Yeah, it's dude. Awesome. And also, I just got to say, like, for all of you out there, Ramon's attention to design and detail, from everything from the paper stock to the book layout to the font that the page numbers is on. Ramon
to the underpants he wears every morning, everything.
No, he doesn't wear underpants.
Please show us.
Ramon told me he doesn't wear underpants.
I don't wear underpants. I'm free
on camera.
Well, Tuesday is Invisible Underpants Day, so he has none today.
Thursday's Invisible Pants Day.
We should just freeball it in New York, I guess, at this point.
It's like air conditioning every day. Love it.
Oh my God.
But I get a lot of upcoming talent. Me and Jim both get a lot of people sending us stuff and asking us questions, and I'm getting a lot of people who are like new artists, young cartoonists who are pursuing this Kickstarter route for doing things, and they put their Kickstarter out, and I've gotten a few emails like, "Hey, mine's not performing well. Do you have any suggestions?" And of course we shouted out on the live show and stuff, but it just got me thinking, because I'm always answering them. I'm like, I think for a Kickstarter work, you can't just put it out and just say, go buy it. There's got to be some sort of marketing strategy behind it. Do you agree with that?
Well, Jim's been doing it. Like, I've been seeing what Jim's been doing for the past 30, 60 days now. It's a blur of time, but like the long road leading up to a Kickstarter is the most important thing ever. Promoting in a fun, engaging way. Like, I've seen a lot of people who they build it, they launch it, but they do no lead up or PR. And then they're wondering why, like, oh, I only made $50 today or $1,000 or whatever it might be. Right. So that is the most important thing, just getting the word to the street. And Jim was smart in that you had a goal for your pre-launch. Like, Kickstarter puts up, you can put up your page a month before it goes live and get people to sign up for the notification the day it goes live. So Jim, you had a goal of 1,000 people, right? That you wanted to hit.
And I got that. I got like 1,050 people signed up, and just getting the 1,000, like, people are like, you've been around for a long time. You got 90,000 people on Instagram. It's like, none of that means anything. None of that matters. Right. I had to work my ass off to get 1,000 people to hit the pre-launch button. It's like, even if you don't want to buy the book or support the Kickstarter, can you just hit the pre-launch button? So I have the 1,000 number. Like, I just want the number, because where we're at right now, a week into the campaign, I'm about to hit 500 backers, which is great. But that also means I'm missing 500 people that signed up for the pre-launch. We need those other 500 people. So that's my
Jim,
goal.
Was the 1,000 signing for the pre-launch, was it something like a personal goal of yours, knowing the numbers? Where does this number come from?
Well, I've had several people that know Kickstarter say, if you can get 1,000 before you launch, that's a really good sign that you're going to have a very strong launch day. And that's exactly what happened. My launch day last Tuesday, we met our goal within the first hour. And by the end of the day, I'd raised $25,000. So I had an incredible first day. And then, you go into day 2, and I woke up being kind of naive. Like, I woke up on day 2 and was like, oh, we only made like
25,000.
I wish. But I was like,
Can you imagine 25,000 every day for a month?
Oh my god!
Oh my God.
Like, you end up like with $800,000 at the end.
That's the dream.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
But no,
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
you don't really make much money overnight. So I woke up on day 2 in the morning like, oh, it didn't really move that much overnight. Okay. So you kind of have to know like the ebbs and flows of how the money comes in. So we're doing, as of this recording, it'll already be available, but we're launching a Scotty Young variant tomorrow, which I told you guys about.
Yeah,
That'll
let's put
boost
that up on
sales.
screen. Jim, get me that image because we'll have Jamie put it up right now. The Scotty Young cover.
And then, I'm
react
going
to it?
look at that. shit.
Fucking
That's amazing.
beautiful. Oh
Fucking-
my
that's-
God.
cheers.
Look at the
That's-
shapes.
Yeah.
The colors. Oh my
That
god!
chainsaw. And the
Yeah,
chainsaw.
Jim, tell
and
us some elements of the car. You've already seen it, so
I've seen
give
it
us
too.
suggestions. So.
It's great. He's got this super big chainsaw that he's flying through the air with. It's awesome.
Oh my God, what a flight!
Yeah.
There's the two elements. The chainsaw. Shawn already said it, and I only had the flight. So the fucking flight. Oh my God.
But it calling in the favors of every homie you can bother is also part of doing a Kickstarter.
And Jim, if you hit that 1,000 on pre-launch and you hit your goal like in the first hour, like you did, that sends like an alert to Kickstarter themselves to then they start promoting it on their end. They make it like a special project that they endorse. Is that correct?
Yeah. At the end of the week, I woke up to an email saying Kickstarter gave us the official Project We Love badge, which means your project is now put forward on the Kickstarter site and more eyes are able to see it and they're behind you and they're helping to hype you up. So that was a huge thing too, to get that. And then, I guess, man, like I'm going to New York Comic-Con. I'm promoting there. I've got flyers with the QR code on it for the Kickstarter that I'm going to hand literally every person. And then you have Ramon, correct me if I'm wrong, but you basically also have like the last couple days of the campaign are like, you really want to hype it.
Yeah.
And get those final orders in like, hey, if you've been sleeping, this is it. You have to order the book. Like you have to support this now. We're done on the 31st.
Yeah, Kickstarter will also send an auto email to everybody who's watching your campaign 48 hours beforehand. So anybody who has marked your campaign will get a notice saying, "Hey, now or never." Basically, go ahead and do it up. So yeah, you'll get that bump as well. But any kind of email, like we use BackerKit for our. They have what they call Launch, which is like an email campaign service that every time we've done a Kickstarter, we consolidate all of our Kickstarter email lists into this kind of platform. So now we have a mailing list of about 6,000 people.
Wow.
So every time we launch a new one, anybody who's backed any one of our campaigns, we reach out to and let them know that, hey, this might be for you. Obviously not everybody. It's like you maybe get 10, 20% crossover from between campaigns, depending on what you're doing. Because we do a lot of diverse stuff here. If it was your team and just your mailing list, that's a different story, obviously. But so anything you like that, just if you have a mailing list as well, like send that out, Substack, whatever. Yeah, let them know. I feel when I did mine, my Substack was my my saving grace, that my followers on there.
Yeah. That's a great way to get stuff out to people.
Yeah, I think it's important to definitely stress to everyone out there the importance of having like your email list. Like, I feel like you should use, like if you're going to use social media, you should be just funneling people to your email list and getting that, because that's your direct line. I think that people think of. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say that's like building your fan base. Like I started mine back in like 2010 or something when I emailed. Like I think it was MailChimp at first, and I switched over to Substack. I didn't send out a newsletter for 5 years, but people just kept signing up because they're curious about what you're going to do next, right? And so, but when that time comes and you finally launch something, then they're there waiting, right? And that was, like I said, a saving grace for me. It was like I got more from there than I did from any of my social platforms, right? So so build that up over time. Even if you're like, I'm going to build I'm going to do a Kickstarter in 2026. start now if you don't have one. Just keep sharing, keep building.
Do you guys regularly send like a newsletter like once a month, or do you just send it when you have something to say?
For me, I in the best of times, once a month. Now I haven't sent one in a year. It's just like, but I think you should have something to say if you are sending one.
Yeah.
I agree.
Jim, what about you?
I do one once every 2 weeks now, just because I always have
nice.
like our YouTube shows to promote and new variant covers I'm working on.
Yeah.
And then I started teasing images for my Kickstarter book like 4 months ago through my email newsletter. And then I told people in the newsletter, tell your friends to sign up for the newsletter because I'm going to be revealing all this top secret stuff exclusively through the email newsletter. So if you want to keep seeing preview pages of what I'm working on, this is the place to do it.
One thing I did with my newsletter when I did, anybody who backed me and was signed up for my newsletter got one extra item for free on my campaign. So like I could track, I just, coordinate both mailing lists, and they got like an extra patch kind of thing for,
nice.
Just like a little thank you from like following me for all these years. And, because they're there, they're waiting, they like what you do, they're trying to support. So if you can give them an extra little something or other, is there's no skin off your back, especially if you're doing a good campaign, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me on the website, like I think I will send probably one every 2 months or something, and it really depends. Like if I have something important to say, right now with New York Comic Con approaching. I'll be sending probably a newsletter to tell them where I'm at in Artist Alley and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I used, I sent one like last month for my, commission list. And, I was thinking about doing one for your campaign, Jim, and Ramon.
I would love that
would
if
be
you don't
nice.
mind.
I think that's something that's great, Mattteo. And I think it's something we should all be thinking more about, is how we can use our own newsletters to help hype up our friends' stuff too.
Yeah,
I think
even like a quick reshare on socials, even if it's just without a comment, just click and reshare. It just games the algorithm a little bit,
Yeah. I never thought about it, but we had Nick Pitara on a few months ago, and he told us about this thing. Like we can create a new network with newsletters. So whenever you got a new project, like all of your friends with newsletter will send their newsletter, sponsoring the project, the thing that you got going on now, and we can do this basically favor to each other.
I feel like everybody is like, there's so much stuff coming at people online from everywhere. So if they know they can trust you, and you're going to send them to a couple of cool places to check something out, then that just helps everybody at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing. I realized that because I'm subscribed. The only mailing list I'm subscribed to is the Louis C.K. one. And he's one of those. He sends an email only if he has a new thing on his website. Normally, it's a new special, or there's a new thing that you can purchase. Or sometimes he has other comedians that he suggests, and every time he does, the first thing I do, I'll go check those comedians, because to me, he's amazing. So if he's suggesting something, it must be good.
Yeah, I think we could all be thinking
like Cosa Nostra,
Yeah, it's all in the family.
Hell yeah.
Ramon's bringing the Italians into this.
And then when we'll be strong enough as a group, we'll start doing the opposite thing, which is boycott other people. So we'll send out
destroying
newsletters,
lives.
Exactly.
destroying other people's lives.
Yeah. Roughing people
I like
up
it.
a
That's
little
okay.
here and there.
Bring them up, tear them down. No, it's good.
1986. A masked vigilante stalks the streets of Freak City, seeking final vengeance against his evil rogues gallery. Defective Comics presents Savage Street Vigilante, an over-the-top, creator-owned superhero parody comic book unlike any other. From fan favorite artistic sensation, Jim Mafood. 48 pages of pure, glorious destruction. Launching October 1st on Kickstarter.
So, Ramon, did you put the same amount of energy do you put that into your pre-launches too? Like try to get as many?
Ideally, yes. This year has been a bit of a crazy year because with Raid, I've been managing and building quite a bit. So I haven't had the ability to dedicate as much as I normally would. Like when I did my own campaign, I was doing what Jim was. Like I didn't do videos because I'm not as charming as Jim, but I did like updates every day on social media because people forget that like when you post, so like I've heard people like, oh, I don't want to post every day because I don't want to bother people. I'm like, no, post every day because 5% of your audience is seeing your posts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the good chances when you post tomorrow that a different set of 5 or 10 people are going to go see your post. Right.
Right.
So yeah, when I did my campaign, I was definitely every day. I didn't get to 1,000, but I think I got to about 600 or 800 on the pre-launch, which helped me out for a great first day. Currently, like we're going a little bit faster than I like with our current campaign. We've only been promoting for 2 weeks. We did the same with the previous campaign. We launched one back in end of August. We had great days for both, for the previous ones. I'm hoping that the same pays out because we have, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Fan approval, or, they know we're consistent. So hopefully that kind of helps us out in the long run. But, I wish we had done more pre-launch, for this campaign. And that's just because I'm just spread a little bit too thin. Even though I'm kind of...
Ramon, you've hired a marketing company. Are they involved with this Kickstarter too?
They are. They're helping out. They're running all our social media on Instagram and TikTok. But they're also new to this game in the sense that they don't know how to promote a Kickstarter. I think, Jim, you hit the nail on the head. You got your personality out there. You had fun with it. It's engaging, right? But when you have a third party doing your stuff that can't always access you for whatever you're doing. And also... These books are also representing 30 different artists. So I'm hoping those 30 artists are also doing their part to help, because then everybody gets a cut of the pie when the campaign ends, right? But yeah, it's been a learning year. It's a foundational building and learning year. There's a lot going on, and I feel like we're kind of in the middle of chaos right now, with a lot of forethought to the new year as we figure out how to work as a team.
Same exact way.
You know what I mean?
Life.
Yeah, and and you just got to roll with it, right? You just kind of, hope for the best, and But I'm excited. We have a great team here. It's just this is our first time out of the gate working together in this aspect, and so I think we're learning a lot, and hopefully as we roll into, because we have like 8 to 10 projects planned for next year as well. Right. Damn. So it's like we got to start parsing them out, figuring them out, and all this stuff. Right. So nice. Sorry about that. Sorry, phone. But yeah. So yeah, it's a Kickstarter is an interesting game. And like, I'm curious to get your experience, Jim, when you do yours, because it's like you've got the starting gate, and now now it's the plateau time. And keeping people interested over the next 3 weeks before the end.
Yeah, what do you guys think about strategies for that? Because getting a good launch is one thing, but then keeping it moving up after the launch day is especially after the first week, can be tricky. So
what's the tactic? Basically, you keep telling people that you have a Kickstarter campaign going on, or there's there's special items that you unlock. That's a thing. And what else?
I think I know, Jim. Like I know you mentioned your Scotty Young cover. Do you have more of those lined up as you're moving forward, like other variants coming in?
Yeah,
There's a Jim Lee one.
There's a Jim Lee. There's an Alex Ross.
Alex
Ross variant cover. That costs $26,000 to commission.
That's your entire campaign right there.
Yeah, Alex Ross cover. Yeah. Just for the clout of being like, we got Alex Ross on the campaign.
Then Jim
made
declares bankruptcy right
$0.
afterwards.
But he loved the book so much that he gave you a discount. So it's only going to be $17,000 instead of the normal $25,000.
Yeah. We got that huge deal discount. Yeah, I mean, my thing is like introduce new stuff. Like, so it was awesome because all my original art tiers sold out. So we're also going to be dropping more original art onto the page.
Nice.
If people want to buy it, cool. If they can't afford it, that's okay too. But it at least generates interest to be like, right now, the only place you can buy original art from me, if you don't see me at New York, is on the Kickstarter page.
Nice. That's good.
So, and all the original art is related to the Savage Street Vigilante. It's all like superhero spoofy kind of stuff, sexy girls. A lot of it is kind of spooky themes. That's why I picked October for my campaign.
Yeah.
The book itself has horror elements and is very dark, but it's also like it lends itself to the fall in October and Halloween.
Did you apply for the witch starter on Kickstarter?
No. What is that?
What is that?
I don't know what that is.
So Witch Starter is anything to do with horror and
shit. I
so
need to
they
make a
kind of
note
do
of
like
that.
a branded. Do you have a contact at Kickstarter at all?
I don't, but Andy Belanger does.
Yeah, I can
I
also
can
forward
reach
you
out to
mine
him.
as well.
It's
But they can-
Frank Kickstarter, the founder of Kickstarter. That's
I love
where
it's Frankie
Kickstarter takes
Frankie
its
K.
name from.
Yeah,
Yeah, Frankie K. The
yeah.
famous.
You know,
So,
as we know him, right?
Ramon, what does having someone inside Kickstarter do for you? How does that help you?
I mean, it's just like with any business, you have a relationship. They can review your page. They can give you insights. They can also, like the projects we love button that you got, Jim, like you can basically, by having them review it early, sometimes you'll get that right out of the starting gate. They'll put you through the newsletter sometimes, through their Twitter account. So it's really about just building a relationship with them and showing them that you're a professional, you're doing this, you're ready. Because a lot of people go into Kickstarter thinking, oh, I'm just going to raise the money, it's done, and easy peasy. But it's like another full-time job while you're doing the Kickstarter and the month leading up to it. So yeah, it just helps you gain some insights, especially if you are a newbie and you're really not sure what to expect. It's just good to reach out to them and go, hey, can you review my project? Any suggestions you might make with how I'm presenting it, what I'm offering? And then they also have like lines for fulfillment and different things like that as well. But they can get you in on things like the Witch Starter, which kind of they use it to promote anything to do with like horror and
that's awesome.
and the like during the month of October. Plus, they also have like things like Make 100 in January. So if you make 100 of a thing, it'll go out of that'll be part of their promotional kind of cross-platform thing. So like last year, we did 100 card trading card set. So that was our Make 100. So we got onto that. So people are searching for it, or if they're like just hitting the tab on the website, they'll kind of get you in that kind of selection, basically. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Dude, that sounds awesome. All that stuff helps,
Yeah, it's definitely it's a job.
It is.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, as Ramon was talking about all this, of course, super interesting stuff. But I realized that I was thinking that in another episode where I think we were talking about Instagram, like everything starts as a thing, easy, on the internet, and you have these amazing new things that come out, these amazing new apps or stuff that help you a lot, and then suddenly you start having to work for them, basically. It's the same with Instagram. Like, it started like, I'm going to just post my pictures that I normally take. I'm just going to put it on this, platform. And now all of a sudden you have to do reels and now you have to do 2 reels a day, and you have the goals. Like, I realized, like, the other day I was scrolling through my Instagram, and it's like, you're only 1 reel away to get the first reward. Like, they're rewarding me like I'm working for them. And it's fucking, like, I don't want to criticize, like, especially Kickstarter, because I'm probably gonna be kickstarting my book as well. So it's you know, amazing thing that happened in the internet world. I'm thankful for Kickstarter to exist, but just to see how much things have changed, like, and everything turns into that. Like, you end up working for them, basically.
Well, just more on our own shoulders, where before you worked for a company and the company had their marketing team, the company had the printers and everything. Now you're just taking more on your own shoulders, which is exciting in one way, but it's a hell of a lot of work the other way around. You know what I mean? Like,
it is a lot of work. But I felt like working for those like corporation companies, nothing they did marketing ever benefited me in any way, or what I was working on. In fact, they did things to hurt whatever project I was on, not intentionally, but things they would do. But why would you do that? So having it in my own control now makes me feel better. Like, so if it does poorly, then I can own that. Like,
there's something to be said for that, for sure. Yeah, you know. I think it's super exciting, and you know, the fact that we can do all these things is just I wish it was a little bit easier sometimes.
Yeah, I know. But again, imagine trying to do, like, Jim. Imagine trying to do your book in 1983. Like,
photocopy your zine.
Right, like what Eastman and Laird did. Like, I mean, there were like 1 in a million that it worked, and with the tools today, it makes it an option. I guess is what I'm saying.
Actually, you kind of touch upon an important point. And I'm assuming, Jim, that you've probably done this, but like, a lot of people forget that there's a pre-launch, then there's a Kickstarter, and then there's your fulfillment afterwards.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people actually end up losing money sometimes because they don't properly prepare for the exit strategy. You know what I mean? So people will see a campaign, they'll be like, oh, he made $80,000, $120,000. They're rich, whatever. Sometimes, you know, they might walk away with $5 or $10,000 after that, depending if they did their homework right. You know what I mean?
So explain.
Well,
Ramon,
we'll see in November. We'll have Jim on, and if he's not in his studio and he's on the streets, like with his phone, filming himself with his phone, it means that he didn't make the math right.
Yeah, it's just the alleyway behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, I guess like, and obviously, Jim, you can speak to this as well. But like, you know, sourcing your printers, your costs, your manufacturing. You know, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think you have your shipping embedded in yours, Jim. Is that right? Yeah, we do. We pulled ours out because shipping is so nuanced that if you, especially these days where shipping rates have been going up and up and up. And if you finish your campaign, say, you know, beginning of this year, but then you're not fulfilling maybe for another 8 or 12 months or even a year and a half later, shipping rates could have gone up 25%, right? So you just don't know what things are going to be like there. So after our first campaign, we decided to pull our shipping out and do it as a separate charge at the end post-campaign. Because
how do you do that, Ramon?
You just basically mark all your shipping to 0 on Kickstarter. And then, I mean, Kickstarter now has a new embedded tool there. I believe it's called stamps.com in the US or something. I can't remember where they could actually funnel it through. That's a new feature. And we've never used that because it's not really accurate for Canada. But what we do is, so we mark all ours to 0 and we explicitly post saying, you know, shipping will be charged afterwards, post-campaign, through BackerKit. And then we use BackerKit, which we merge with our company called Chit Chats, which is like our version of stamps.com, which basically uses, it's like a shipping portal that has like 5 or 6 different shipping options for global fulfillment, basically. So, you know, if we're doing a book, we're like, okay, we can use this kind of shipping for the US because it's the cheapest rate to get out to people, and play around, basically giving. It feels like people are paying more, but they're actually getting a better deal at the end of the day because, you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. Jake Parker and I were talking about Kickstarter the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, people don't realize like the day you like you start shipping your stuff out, it's like you gotta like." He's like, I remember the day I hit a $12,000 shipping like chart. Like I had to put it on my card. Like boom. It's like, oh, like Jim, how are you handling shipping on your end?
Yeah, well,
he's not going to ship it. He's going to run away with the money.
Yeah. We're not actually putting anything out. This is just
it's all a ruse.
Clever ruse.
There's actually, at the end of the campaign, you'll get Jim's number and you got to catch up with him. Like, I'm in LA. I'm going to be in LA a week from now. So if you're going to be there, I'm going to bring you a copy of the book. Is that right?
I will hand you the book in a dark alley somewhere in some city. Like I'm trying
in
to
team
think.
with the book.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way you can get it. It's
in costume, of course.
Like if you're in Europe and you order the book, I might be in London and you have to meet me
in 2027
somewhere. Yeah. And I've just got a backpack full of my books that I give you one. Here's your book.
But how did you handle shipping,
Jim?
Jim?
I interrupted. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So my buddy Ross is doing the fulfillment for me, and he helped me build my Kickstarter page. And he does Kickstarter for a living. He makes pop-up books and just sells them exclusively through Kickstarter. So we had to have countless phone conversations. And I mean, this is the part that people don't know about, where it's like, you make a book and you do a Kickstarter. It's like, dude, there's hundreds of hours put into research, making charts and graphs and statistics. And so we had to figure out every item we were offering, what the cost of printing those items is, what the cost of the packaging of shipping those items is, and all the postage around the world to what those items would be.
Yeah.
So, we had to, you figure all that out in advance, obviously, or else you get screwed, like Ramon said, on
Right.
the shipping and the fulfillment. You have to know all of this going in. You have to know what the envelopes cost that you're shipping with. You have to, the print set we made, it's 5 prints. I have to know from the printer, how much does each print cost?
Yeah.
Right.
So this is where like all the work goes into like, well, being creative and writing and drawing a comic book, that's just been 50% of this whole thing. The other 50% is research, talking to Ross, making graphs and charts, getting online, promoting it, making reels, doing live stream shows with Shawn, annoying all my friends with favors. It's a lot, man. It's been really intense, but in like a good way. Like
it is a full-time job.
I'm into it. I feel good about it, but it's also like Ramon said, this has been a year of learning for me. And I would like to do another one next year. I'd like to keep it going, but I'm also, I'm learning a lot from this one of things to maybe try different or, but I think the pre-planning, the pre-launch, that's like, you really have to focus on letting people know that you have a really cool product coming out.
Yeah. Like you said, tease it and share bits and pieces.
I remember Nick Pitara on his episode. He told us if you have an idea right now and you already know you want to kickstart it, just open the pre-launch now. Yeah. Even 2 years, who cares? 2 years before starting the campain, just start accumulating, names on that.
No, he's not wrong. Yeah. I remember this was pre-Kickstarter, but do you guys remember Flight, the anthology Flight?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember those guys worked on that for 2 years. And this is obviously pre-Kickstarter, but they were going to crowdfund it themselves back in the day. Ended up going with Image, I believe, at the end. But they worked on it for 2 years. They just promoted it for 2 years. And I remember going to San Diego the year they released it, and they literally just had piles at their table, just like towers, and they were just going down just fast, because people were expecting it for 2 years, right? So perfect advice there, Mattteo. Just
that's incredible.
Keep sharing and
because I'm putting an ad in my book, The Savage Street Vigilante. I'm putting an ad in the book for the next book. assuming that I'm moving forward.
Nice.
But I'm just like, I'm going to reveal to you guys what the concept is.
That's
this
smart.
is going to be
That's
volume 2
That's
with
awesome.
a new character. And so here's an ad for it to get you hyped. But I do love that idea of like, just make an image and set up the pre-launch page for it now.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah,
Fuck
I
it.
think that's smart. Yeah.
No, 100%.
Guys, one question before we get off here that I want to ask, because I hear this a lot, and I'm curious what your thoughts on this are. Do you think it's important that your Kickstarter version of the project be somewhat different from the public version? So, like, if you're kickstarting, like Jim, your book, for example, is there going to be any difference between what they get on Kickstarter versus what someone could get at a con like 4 months after the Kickstarter? Is there a difference in price, presentation, or anything like that?
Not with what I'm doing.
Ramon,
I'm
what about you?
just making this book, and that's what the book is going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
forever.
I'm not saying it has to be. I've just heard some people say like it helps avoid I'll just get it later, because it makes it more special to get in on the Kickstarter. And then the people at the cons are like, I didn't even know there was a Kickstarter. Let me get this now. I don't know if that's necessary or not. That's why I'm asking, or if you think it's a good idea.
It's something that we've been playing with here. Like the first several Kickstarters we did were pretty much the book you got in the Kickstarter was the one you got publicly. Because we're now, as Raid, beginning to move into distribution, into comic shops, we wanted to make sure that anything we do on Kickstarter and the people that what they get on Kickstarter is unique to those backers. It's kind of like a reward for being an early adopter of something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what we've done with our last several campaigns, and we're not like inventing this. I've seen other people do it. That's why we're trying to play around with it is, so we don't do like floppies, but this could be done with a floppy as well. But what we do is we'll often do a unique cover for the Kickstarter edition that's different from the mass market edition. And we've also been included an extra signature, like a print signature. So an extra 16 to 32 pages of back matter, like the DVD extras. So like say, for example, if Mattteo, you're kickstarting, you have an extra 16 or 30 pages of your sketches, development, your script, color studies, whatever it is, right? Pinups by friends, whatever it is, right? And then that gives your backers, because oftentimes, and people forget this, the Kickstarter, like you're not shopping, you're not buying something, a product. You're actually, it's actually a patronage. You're helping build something. So oftentimes, what you're paying for on the Kickstarter, you're actually paying probably a little bit more than you would for the actual product.
Yeah, Carl explained that to us. I remember months ago when he was on. He had just started his new campaign for Tanager.
Yeah.
And he explained to us this. You're just basically supporting more. It's more of a, operation of support for your favorite artists and it's a kind of partnership.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like, a book that might sell for say 35 or 45 on the Kickstarter, you might sell it for 25 or 15 publicly. Right. Like, so by, an extra signature in a book is cents on the dollar when you're actually publishing large numbers. Right. So, and you can just tell the printer, we're going to print 500 of the copies that we're doing. We're shoving in an extra thing. It's a minor cost for, the extra moment on the printer. And that just gives your fans something special that they couldn't get after the campaign. So it's kind of like, once again, a thank you to the early adopters, basically. So it's something we've been playing with and looking at our numbers. So, for example, like the last campaign we did was for my buddy Eric, his sci-fi cyberpunk book called Arden. And we had 3 different versions of the book. We had the retail version, the Kickstarter edition, and the super premium slipcase edition. This was like a hardcover, super fancy, right? You don't have to go that far, but even like Flesk, who does like Arthur Adams' art book, they had 3 different, actually 4 different versions at the end, because they sold out of certain ones. They had to bring in a new version just to appease Kickstarter fans, right? So there is definitely something there. If you have the ability and the extra matter to, build out something, maybe a unique cover, like I said, or cool, insightful stuff, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. I remember another thing that I saw that Sean Murphy did with Massive for the Zorro book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What they did is this thing. So on the Kickstarter campaign, you had exclusive products. So even the floppies, you could get the floppies, but there were special ones, like the Adam Kubert one. I don't remember, but a bunch of amazing artists. So, and then after the campaign was over, they published it traditionally with Massive.
Yeah.
And then after the book was out traditionally, they started shipping out the Kickstarter
Editions. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that they basically were kind of helping out the how do you call it, the comic book shops,
The retailers.
The retailer.
the retailers. Yeah. So basically, the pledgers on the campaign will have the plus of having a special product, but they will get it later. And instead, if you wanted to buy it in shops, you'll have the traditional classic version of the book.
Yeah.
But you can have it earlier.
Interesting.
So it's a kind of mix of the two systems.
Yeah. We don't like to put ours out publicly before our patrons get it, just because. I mean, I'm not saying that's a wrong thing. I'm just saying it's interesting because, I would feel bad. These guys helped back it.
Yeah, I'm with Ramon.
And then they're like, oh, why is everybody else getting it first?
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I would either do it simultaneously, which I know is very difficult to pull off, or because obviously the people who Kickstarter is great, but it's also it's a small community. There are people who don't know Kickstarter exists, right?
Right.
And there are also people who I know who don't shop online. They don't want to, so at the end of the day, it's there will be a small crossover of people who buy on Kickstarter versus shops. But I think it's like the people who read paper comics versus digital comics. There's a bit of that Venn diagram, but I don't think it's going to hurt each one either way. So if you can time out your delivery of things, I think it would be better to at least have your patrons get it. And personally, I think at the same time, if not earlier than shops do, but because they can also talk about it online, influencers, and then they go, hey, if it's coming out in shops next week, go out and get it. So it's also maybe, I don't know, it could be a promotional tool that we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes sense. I think they were trying to, since I don't think that retailers are really in love with the Kickstarter campaigns because they're basically excluded from the whole thing. I mean, maybe it was a way to to tell them, hey, we see you as well.
Yeah.
So
But also,
we're thinking about you as well.
A lot of people have a retailer tier. I know, Jim, you have one where if you're a retailer, you can buy 10 or 20 copies at a highly discounted price. So, Ramon, do you do that with your stuff too?
We have done them up until the last two campaigns because we are going to be going into Diamond. So we were because when a comic shop gets their comic through Diamond, they obviously get consolidated shipping on their entire. So it's a little bit cheaper for them, right? Whereas, but we still offer it. We actually have a little note saying we don't have a retail tier, but if you are a retailer, buy any tier that you want, and we will credit you and refund you or give you double stock or something like that. If it's usually I found this maybe 6 to a dozen retailers have backed our tiers. Everyone's going to be different in how that how that goes, because most stores don't really deal with indie stuff. They usually deal with the big 2 or 3, right? So
right.
All
right,
but it is good to have one.
Yeah. Last question, Jim. This is, I guess Jim and Ramon. Do you guys, when your book is out and it's all and the campaign's over, are you planning on then trying to do like printing a bunch of extra copies and doing a little signing tour where you go to shops and that gives the shops an opportunity to sell stuff and it gives you an opportunity to get more eyes upon it? And any thoughts on doing that?
Yeah, I'm doing a signing at a store out here in Kansas City. Like, I know the owner, and he asked me, hey, if I order through your Kickstarter 3 or 4 dozen of these through the retailer tier, will you come in and do a signing? And I was like, yeah, of course. That's super easy. I just drive down the street and do the signing.
I mean, that almost sounds like a tier we could offer, like in-store signing retailer tier, where buy this many copies.
That's a nice idea.
I'll bring myself to your store and sign it and do all that. But, you know, if you're in Atlanta and you got to go to Cali, you kind of got to factor that cost into it.
Yeah, that's a cost for sure. But yeah, I've had a couple different retailers in different spots of the country reach out to me and ask, like, I want to order a dozen for the shop. Does it come signed? And it's like, all this is on the Kickstarter. All the info is there, but people don't read everything. But I'm like, yes, if you order a dozen, you get these for half off.
Yeah.
You know, it's half off cover price if you order a dozen for retailers. Every book comes signed. So yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want to exclude retailers from my stuff, but at the same time, just based off the sales of like my last Girl Scout series, 2022 through Image, it's like Ramon said, like retailers don't order heavy on indie comics, man. They have a very limited budget these days. Their money goes to Marvel, DC, some Image, some Dark Horse. It sucks. It's like that's just kind of the game right now. Yeah, so, and the retailers are also want to order like all these different variant covers that Marvel and DC are offering, because people collect those. People go into comic shops now to buy comics, not even to read, but just for the covers.
It's the 90s again.
Yeah. So that collector part of it, it's kind of fun and exciting,
aside
but it's
from
also
the
like
numbers.
It's also
copies sold.
It's like fucked up the business though if you're trying to do an indie comic through.
Yeah, because a lot of those variants, like they have to order X amount to get one variant or 2 variants.
Yes.
Right. So that's purposely eating up the budget of retailers, so they don't order anywhere else. You know, people don't realize. Like as a guy who does variants, I love doing variants, but I'm creating my own enemy by like supplying variants out there. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's the game though right now. It's just it's just like where we're at. It's kind of weird.
I feel like it's the short-term gains for the market, unfortunately, but you know, it is what it is. But to answer you, like I think, and I'm assuming Jim's doing this, is like I know a lot of people who do a Kickstarter and they'll be like, oh, I made 500 copies got bought, so I'm going to print 500 copies. 500 copies get purchased. Print 1,000, print 2,000.
Yeah, right.
Budget out, because anything after, it's a perennial seller. Like it might take 3 years, but you're making money off every comic book.
And if the Kickstarter funded 1,000 and you moved 500, well, then you've got 500 that are all profit sitting in your studio.
Exactly. And then when you do volume 2, like you'll have volume 1 to also sell with that, right? So. We always, whenever we always print a minimum of 3,000. And then obviously you need the space to store these things as well. Yeah. But
isn't there the possibility to like back order through Kickstarter and stuff? Like, because there's some platforms, they offer this thing. So there's a campaign and then the after campaign where you can still buy.
Kickstarter just, offered a new feature which we've used on the past 2 campaigns, which is you can set a price for your items after the campaign is done if you wanted them to keep selling. So basically people come in, say for example you're offering your comic at $20, but campaign closes, people can now still buy it at 25 or 30. And maybe they missed the boat on the early bird deal, but it's still available afterwards, right? Before they offered this, we would just kind of reroute them to our store where they could buy it online, but this way it's like if people come to the Kickstarter, you can keep selling as long as you want on the Kickstarter.
Okay.
You know, and you can actually set your prices for during campaign and post campaign, what is available, what isn't available. Like say variant covers aren't, but maybe the regular edition is or something like that.
Yeah, got it.
So they're offering a lot of features. There's been a lot of competition with like Indiegogo, Backer Kit, Zoop, all these other. So Kickstarter is kind of now going, okay, we gotta start offering extra features to help make it a little bit more lucrative for people to stay here, right? So
Dude, there's so much stuff.
Oh, yeah, so much.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
I've got mine all planned out in my head, but now I've got a page full of notes from today. I'm like, oh, I got to think about that. I got to think about that.
Jesus Christ.
I think one of the most important things outside of everything we talked about was what kills it for me a lot on a lot of campaigns is shipping. Really get your shipping down. Because I've gone to back some comics from friends where I'm like, so I'm in Canada, States. We ship back and forth. It's actually not that expensive, but people tend to treat zones as one area and go, okay, so I'll be like a $10 comic, but now I've got like a $50 shipping bill to Canada.
Damn.
And I'm like, you had me and then you lost me. Right.
Yeah.
So really do your homework if you can. Figure it out ahead of time so you don't lose backers because they hit that wall and they're suddenly going, yeah, I can't afford this now. Or at least have a digital version maybe for international buyers who, maybe it's
the
like
PDF, man. You got to have the PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes like we just had a fellow who backed our last campaign and he bought a hardcover book. I can't remember where I think it was in Eastern Europe. The shipping bill for the book was $150. And we were like,
shit.
And so sometimes like that comes up because we don't know sometimes, right? Because they could live out in the country off over some grassy knoll somewhere. And you just don't know what it's going to cost to get. So you can estimate as much as you can. So, at times we often try to work directly with the individual if that happens. So we either eat the cost sometimes or give them a super discount, or we're like, we can't do anything, Alternatively, also just, so people are aware, like certain countries like Brazil, for example, 50% of the packages we ship there get lost. Like they never show up.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like there are certain places that just the mail system is horrible.
Yeah.
And we actually put on our site, like, if you are from these regions, we are not held liable. Like, we'll give you a tracking number as best as we can.
Right.
But if it's lost, we can only do so much. Right. So
it's like order at your own risk.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're putting it out there on your end. You're doing the right thing. But to them in those countries, they kind of have to know, like, hey, man, order at your own risk. Like,
it's sad but true. It does happen, right? So there's all these little things you will come up as when you do a campaign. You're going to discover a whole bunch of shit you never thought of. Basically,
oh my god, yeah, dude, it's all been learning. But I feel like I'm glad that I'm seeing the whole picture of how all this works.
Yeah,
and it's also like at the end of the day, I get to write and draw whatever I want, and I love that absolute freedom.
Yeah.
If I was doing this for a publisher, there would be rules or this or that, and it's like, no, dude, I'm just going to do my own shit, like fully my own thing. And
that's
that
awesome.
works for me. That's my aesthetic.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we've done our show.
So please, guys, tell us again the names of your project that people can back up right now as we speak.
Yes. Mine is the longest title of the year. Defective Comics presents Savage Street Vigilante, link below. And like I said, that's a book, a PDF, a print set, original art tiers, variant covers from Scotty Young, Mike Huddleston, Jim Rugg. And this is the beginning of a line of books I want to do called Defective Comics Presents.
That's awesome.
That feature like superhero parody comics. So hopefully where I'm at right now, issue 2, the second volume will be next year. Kickstarter.
Awesome.
Nice. For us, it's the Raid Anthology, Barada and Nikto, kind of based on the old The Day the Earth Stood Still films. They're 2 anthology books. Look up The Raid Studio on Kickstarter. It'll take you right there. The URL is nice and long, but hopefully they'll link it below. It's going live today in 1 hour, so I got a lot of work to do before.
Oh, damn.
All right, okay.
Well, thanks. But one quick note, sorry, just as I want to say, because Jim mentioned his long URL. Not a lot of people know this, but you can do a short URL. So your Kickstarter is kickstarter.com/your username / your project name, right? You could literally type in an acronym like Bob1 for your, and then once you get your campaign approved, you then change the title to whatever you want your campaign to be. So if you want to have,
I did not know that.
If you actually want a shorter campaign title, you can just call it Defective Comics. So, DC1 or something, or JM Mafood, whatever it means. Like you can do anything you want there and then change it afterwards. So it's easier to actually tell people what your URL is.
What a
basically.
well of knowledge this guy is, man.
This is Jesus.
I'm gonna call you a lot of times in a few months, Ramon.
I'm just gonna move up to Toronto for about
me too.
3 weeks.
Come on up for a visit, guys. Come on down.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. I'll see you fools in a week.
Oh shit!
Yes.
That's
Yeah, I
right.
can't wait,
Mattteo.
guys.
Oh my god!
We'll have a lot
I'm
of fun.
excited. That's gonna be
I'm
awesome.
excited, man.
All right,
That's awesome.
Mattteo, let's do it. Oh my God.
Inkpulp Podcast.
Right. Shawn, according to my analytics, your thumbnails are one of the highest in demand items on the internet. What have you got to say about that?
Jim, funny you should say that. I have a gift for everyone in the Inkpulp community. A free PDF of some of my thumbnails, as Jim said, which are in high demand. Also, I'm giving you a new home, the home of craft, the official home of the Inkpulp community, inkpulp.tv. A place where you can learn about the craft of comics, engage with the community, receive special offers, and so much more. In order to get your free PDF, head to Inkpulp TV, sign up for the newsletter. This is just the beginning of so many wonderful things to come. Thank you. Keep craft alive.